Hello, welcome everyone to our ChimeraFit for Hypermobility class. Today is going to be an intro-level yoga class with a little bit of emphasis on some balance poses that can help us build stability in our body. For props, we're going to use yoga block, which for a lot of non-bendy people, these can be helpful if you don't have the range of motion to reach the floor. For us, we're going to use that to rein in some of our hypermobile tendencies to reach too far into our end range. Not that we can never go there, but if you've struggled with yoga in the past or struggled with movement, it's good to rein in a little bit your range of motion, master those middle ranges, and then gradually build up from there once you've got the stability from there. So to begin, have your yoga blocks nearby. We're going to start laying on your back on the floor. Just finding a comfortable position, tailbone nice and heavy on the ground. Take a moment, close the eyes, check in with your breath. So without really breathing in any special way, just getting a little bit of a awareness, just noticing what's happening in your body before we get started. As you watch the breath come and go, notice if there's any areas of gripping, of tension, especially along the ribs, the pelvis, the neck. So before we begin, we're going to give ourselves a little bit of practice of letting that extra tension go. And then continuing to follow the breath, we're going to allow the exhale to become a little bit longer. So just a slight emphasis on slowing down the exhale, letting it take maybe 25% more time than your inhale. Sometimes we have a little bit of extra guarding or tension, or if we're stressed, we'll restrict not only just our breathing pattern, but especially the exhale, because that takes a little bit more relaxation in the ribs to fall down and in toward your belly. And you get kind of stuck in that elevated position. Just allowing the ribs to fully soften down toward your belly at the end of your exhale. Let's try one more breath like that. Nice and slow exhale. Soft neck and ribs. And then we'll flutter the eyes open, reach your arms up overhead. Notice the connection of your ribs and pelvis. You don't have to overly tense or brace, but just notice the relationship of ribs stacked over pelvis, keeping that nice neutral alignment there. And then we'll reach the arms up overhead, keeping the ribs heavy on the ground. Inhale as you come up, and then slowly exhale as we come back down. We're going to imagine the air is nice and thick, so we have a little bit of muscular effort throughout the entire upper body. It's like you have to push through the air to come back up to where we started, seeing if we can move the arms completely independent of anything else. So the ribs stay steady, your pelvis stays right where it's at, your feet are anchored on the ground, nothing else helping you out here. Good. And then one more time, inhale as you come up. Notice how the abdominal muscles start to kick in a little bit. That's normal and good. And then back down we go. Nice. And then we're going to let the arms rest down and then bring the left knee up to half of a tabletop. We're going to pause here for a moment. Slowly let that down, keeping that rib pelvis connected. Barely tap the toe and then bring it right back up. You can even bring hands to pelvis, just slowly isolating now hip movement from the rest of your body and back up. And just one more time, slow inhale, ribs, pelvis connected. Exhale to come back up. Once we're here, if you can, float the other leg up to a tabletop, both knees side by side. Pause here for a moment. Relax the collarbones. Let the left foot down and then lower the right leg down. If you get any popping, clicking in the hip, we can keep the movement a little smaller. So start from 90 degrees here, lower down, as far as you can control. It may only be a couple degrees, and then slowly bring it back up. Nice. Pelvis relatively level. Inhale on the way down. You could even use that little yoga block there as a barrier if you feel like you need something to keep the range a little smaller. And one more time. Inhale. Shoulders anchored down. Exhale. Pause up. And then we're going to float that left knee back up to your tabletop. Pause here for 2 breaths before letting the feet down one at a time. Now, if you can, scoot your yoga blocks a little bit closer to you. I'm going to go and get them right about feet width apart. And we're going to go into a bridge with the help of the yoga block. So we have ourselves lifted up a little higher. You can have them flat, or you can even have them the opposite way so that they're taller. Knees about hip width apart, chin lifted from the chest. Anchor your heels into the yoga blocks to tip the tailbone and start to lift yourself up just a couple inches. Pause here for a moment and then roll back down. Take a breath. Exhale. Heels heavy. We're going to squeeze and lift right from the base of your glutes, at the bottom of your glutes where it meets your thighs. Maybe lift up a smidge more. Plenty of room for your neck, chin lifted up and away. Pause for a moment. And then option to reach the arms back up again. And then we'll do the same arm reach, coming up. Pause. Slowly come back to the sky. One more time. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, coming back down. And then roll yourself down. Or come down in one big piece. You can experiment with which feels better. Once we're down, we're going to hug the knees to the chest. Maybe give your back a little massage side to side. Let the left foot down. Extend the right leg. You can kick your yoga blocks now out of the way. Right leg up to the sky, just giving the back of the leg a little easy stretch here. Now flex the toes toward the nose and point. A little nerve glide. Flex and point. Getting the sciatic nerve and all the tissue around it, a little bit of gentle movement. Circle the ankle, just gently with control, no need to rush. Exploring all those little nooks and crannies of your ankle, circling the other way. Maybe even giving the toes a little bit of space between each other as you circle. And then let that side down. We'll switch. Left leg comes up, reach, flex the toes to your nose and point. Just a few easy, gentle glides of the calf and that nerve. Neck, shoulders, nice and chill, and then a couple slow circles of the ankle. If you've ever sprained your ankle and you feel kind of it's called apprehension when you get into those positions where your joints feel unstable. No need to force into that. Just start with the range that feels comfortable so that you can, again, control that middle of the range of the movements. Usually turning it in is the kind of icky feeling, so feel free to keep it where it feels good for now. Nice. We'll hug the knee in. Hug them both in again. And then we'll lift yourself, either rock or lift yourself up to sitting, however you'd like to get there. We're going to swivel the legs around and then come up to a supported forearm and knee position. So you can use your yoga blocks right underneath your forearms. Either hands forward or interlace your fingers, whichever feels more comfortable. Knees about hip width apart. Pausing here, head in line with the rest of your body. And then we're going to extend the spine into an easy cow, then round it into an easy cat. Coordinating breath with movement. And no need to force anything. We're just going to gently move from a little bit of extension, a little bit of flexion, seeing if you can notice each vertebrae moving one at a time. Especially giving those joints between your shoulder blades a chance to move. Those are the ones that tend to be stiffer. Let's try about 2 more. Nice and easy. come into a neutral position. Push a little bit of energy into the block, shoulder blades active, and then shift the weight to the right knee. You can maybe bring them a little closer together for your balance. Slide that left leg back behind you, keeping your toe in contact with the ground. Find that connection between the ribs and the pelvis. Give your pelvis the tiniest little twist. So twisting it down toward the ground, and then a little twist up. So we're going to find our neutral pelvis position side to side. So give it a little twist down and up by exploring your mobility with the side-to-side movement, controlling it down, controlling it back up, and then find a position that feels more or less horizontal to the ground. So it doesn't have to be super precise, but get a little bit of familiarity with that. And once we've got that flat position, so we're not twisted down or up, we'll float that back leg up a couple inches. Crown of your head reaching, exact opposite position of your toe, and then slide that side in. Bring the knees closer together, slide the right leg back, nice neutral spine, and then pause here, give the pelvis a little tip down and a little tip up. Twist down. Option to bring a pillow under your knee if it doesn't like kneeling. Twist down. It's more or less practicing, finding how you can correct that position once you come out of neutral, and then find your neutral position from there. We're going to extend from that flat position. You can imagine like you're holding a ball on your tailbone. Try not to let it spin off as you float that right leg up a couple inches. 2 rounds of breath before we bring that in. Nice. And then we can lift yourself up, step up near the block with your left foot. So I've got the block right by my ankles. Right hand can support on the block. I'm going to give a little length through the waist as I twist toward my front left leg, left arm reaching up to the sky into a modified twisted lunge. So I'm going to check my elbow here, soften that little bit of tendency to hyperextend. So I'm going to bring that in. Option to look down to the ground for balance or up to the sky. Stay there, or option to float that back knee up. If we're looking up, we're going to keep a little nod of the chin down so that we're not sagging, hyperextending in the neck. We'll spiral back down, let that right knee down, slide your left foot back, and then switch. Right foot comes up by the yoga block, left hand down. We're going to spiral from the bottom rib cage, float the right arm up. Option to continue looking down at the ground or up toward your hand. Nice long spine, head to tailbone. Keep the back knee down, or option to turn your toes under and then lift up. Check in with your breath. That left elbow spiraled in just a bit to avoid that hyperextension. And then we'll bring the hand down, set the back knee down, come on back. Good. Then you can bring the yoga blocks toward the front half of the mat. We're going to bring your hands to the floor for just a moment. Turn your toes under, hips up to a down dog. Bend the knees so that we can get your tailbone up nice and high. Go ahead and give your down dog a little pedal, one heel down to the ground at a time. And then both. I'm going to walk the feet forward, forward bend, as much of a knee bend as you like to be able to keep things comfy. Roll it up. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, arms down by your side and forward fold. Now bring your yoga blocks back up to the tall position. So we're going to find a flat back position using support from your block. Knees are going to unlock a bit. Use your back strength to lift up. So we have fingers in contact with the blocks, but not quite pressing and holding yourself there. And then forward fold. Bring your fingers down. Roll yourself up. Inhale, reaching up with a little bit of a back bend. Exhale, hands to prayer. And again, inhale, reaching up. Exhale, hinging forward. We're going to go down to a flat back again. Pausing and holding here. Little micro bend of the knee. Lift up. Notice the activation of the muscles of your back to hold yourself here. So we have just fingertip support. If your knees tend to hyperextend, we're going to see if we can back off on that just a bit. And then lower all the way down to your forward fold. 2 rounds of breath. Stand into the feet, roll it back up. Inhale, reaching. Exhale, hands to prayer. Nice, then we're going to step into the right foot, step back with the left to a warrior one stance. So left heel down to the ground, right knee pointing forward, arms float to the sky. Back knee can have a little softness here to it. Then we'll open to a warrior two. Ribs turn to the side. We're going to hinge forward, grab your yoga block, bring it in front of your right foot for triangle pose. So we're going to straighten that front right leg without completely locking it. Hinge forward to bring your right hand to that yoga block. Option to continue looking down at your hand or spiral to look up. Left or right elbow is soft, right knee is a little soft. Happy tailbone behind you. Nice support from the feet. And anchor your feet down to lift all the way back up, back to your warrior. Step forward, grab that yoga block, come out of the way. Go ahead, bring your 2 feet together. Inhale, reaching up, and then hands to prayer. Standing as tall as we can. Bring arms down by your side, and then for a moment, check in with your standing posture, closing your eyes if you feel safe to do so. See if you can maintain your balance with a nice eyes closed position. Working a bit on proprioception. If you notice yourself beginning to sway, just going to gently bring yourself back to the center. 2 more breaths here. Flutter the eyes open. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, hinge down to that flat back position. Forward fold, roll it up. Inhale, reaching up. Step back with your right foot. Warrior one. Back knee strong, heels imaginarily pulling back to each other. Warrior two. Ribs face to the side. Knee still forward. Standing nice and tall. And then we're going to reach forward, grab that yoga block again, triangle pose. Bring the block right in front of your ankle. Hello, Nikita. We're going to reach forward. Left hand comes down to the yoga block. Right arm can reach up. Option to leave the arm down here, by the way. It's a lot of this yoga pose is all about what's happening here in your back. The arm is kind of extra credit, to be honest. Reach to the sky. Option to look down in the hand. I'm going to use a little bit of back strength for not putting too much weight into your wrist. And then lift it back up. Warrior two. Nice. You can bring the yoga block back out of the way. Step your feet together. Inhale, reaching up. And exhale, hands to prayer. Nice. Now we're going to step back with your left foot to a crescent. All 10 toes forward. Arms reach to the sky. You want the yoga blocks on framing your foot in here now. So right in front of you where you can reach them fairly easy. You're going to reach up to the sky. Exhale, hinge forward, bring your hands down. Maybe make a little adjustment of your foot so that you want the yoga blocks like at least a foot, foot and a half from your foot. Float the back leg up into a modified warrior three. We're watching for knee hyperextension here. Use the strength of your body to hold yourself up. The hands are giving you some information, but not holding you here completely. Head in line with the rest of your body. Leg reaching long. And then we're going to step back to your crescent. Inhale, reaching up nice and tall. Bend that back knee just a little bit. Right arm down. Left arm reaches up and over. We'll reach both arms back up, step up, bringing your hands to prayer, standing nice and tall. Inhale, reaching, Exhale, hands back to prayer. Step back with your right foot, crescent lunge. Arms to the sky, lift nice and tall. Start to hinge forward. We're going to reach for the yoga block here behind you, warrior three. Again, softening that knee. Fingers helping, but not putting too much strain on the wrists. The back half of the body. Doing lots of support here. Pelvis level, just like we warmed up earlier. And then with control, I'm going to step back to that crescent lunge. Float the arms back up. Little tuck of the tailbone underneath you. Hip flexor, stretch, left arm comes down, maybe to hip or straight down. Reach the right arm up and over. Ribs lifted from the pelvis. Arms come back up. We're going to step your 2 feet together. Rest the arms down by your side. Give your shoulders a couple easy rolls here. And then we're going to step the left foot onto the yoga block. Maybe scoot it over just a little bit so that it's even. Find a good spot where it's about hip distance apart. So we've got a little practice of knee, slight micro bend. If you feel confident with your knee near end range and you've got good control, you can do that. It's not illegal. It's not the hypermobile police aren't going to get you. But until you know how to get muscle activation through that whole range, totally okay to keep it a little bit bent. All right, then we're going to reach your arms straight ahead. Add a twist. Left arm opens up. Starting with a half twist, option to look behind. And come back to the center. Pause here for a moment and shift the weight onto that right foot a little bit more. Maybe float the left knee up. Arms come to the sky. Pause here. Extending the left leg out. Chest lifted, toes to the sky. And then set that foot back down. You can relax the arms down and then switch. Either move the block over or use the other one. So we've got little support for the right foot. Knee where you can control it. Arms forward, standing tall, and then we'll start to rotate, starting half, maybe going a little farther. Take a look at your thumb, crown of the head reaching to the sky, ribs expanding as we breathe. We're going to untwist. Come back to the center, reaching the arms up, maybe floating the knee up a couple inches, one leg balance. Start to extend that leg out. Flex the toes to the sky. Keeping the spine, we're going to avoid rounding by lifting up a little farther. Step your foot back down to the block and then down to the ground. Give the arms, again, arms, pelvis, knees. Give everything a little easy little shake. And then we can move our yoga blocks out of the way. We're going to come down to the mat. So find yourself a seat. And then in a feet together position, we're going to find a little bit of a butterfly pose. So feet together, lifting up, and then hinging forward, getting just a little bit of an inner thigh mobility work, and then a little lean to the right. And a little lean to the left. And then I'm going to let my hands go using my strength to hold myself here in this position. Instead of pulling, I'm going to actively control as I lean. Again, right, adding a little rotation. So I'm leaning forward, side bend, a little twist. Coming back to the center. Lean a little bit over, adding a small twist to it. And coming back to center. And then come all the way back up. Extend the legs into staff pose. Toes spread, chest proud and forward. Sitting up nice and tall. Reaching up to the sky. And then forward fold active. Reaching forward without completely relaxing into it. So I'm not going to hold my feet. You're actually going to use your strength to hold yourself in that forward bend. Use your back muscles to lift yourself back up nice and tall. And again, exhale, forward. Pause and hold. Allow your ribs to expand. Inhale, roll it back up. Nice. We're going to bring the arms forward and then roll down. Option to use hands behind the knees or legs straight on the mat. So whichever feels better. We're going to tuck the tailbone, roll it down, one vertebra at a time. Once we're here, we're going to rest the arms, bring the left ankle to right knee. Arms to the side, and then a little spine twist. So we're going to go toward the right side. Left foot is going to land on the ground. Add a little spiral to look over at that left hand. So I've got the foot to give me a little bit of a barrier so that I don't just flop into my full end range here. Get a little hip mobility work here. Slowly untwist and then switch. Right ankle, left knee. And then I'm going to let the lower body twist. Right foot comes down to the ground. Gently look over toward my right hand. Really nice work for all the fascia in this diagonal all the way from my shoulder to hip. And slowly back to center we go. You're going to bring yourself knees to chest into a happy baby. So knees come into ribs, hands either holding on to outer of the foot or peace fingers on big toe. I have a little bit of action. Again, I'm not completely pulling. I'm actually holding myself in happy baby. So my toe, big toe is giving a little effort into my peace fingers, or the outer part of my foot is giving a little tiniest press. It doesn't need to be super intense, just enough. You have a little bit of muscle support while I'm in this elongated position. You can allow your belly to expand as you breathe through your nose. Option to add a few little sways side to side. And if this is not great for your hips, option to just do knee to chest. We're all a little different, so no need to force anything here. And then we'll come out of that, extend the legs along the mat, or in whatever relaxation pose you'd like to finish with. Grab any props, pillows, blankets, whatever you need for Shavasana. We're going to close the eyes, palms to the sky, and then check back in with your breath. We're just observing the movement of the belly, movement of the ribs, without forcing or attempting to change it. We're just watching. Allow the eyes to soften. Relax the jaw. Relax the throat. Notice the head getting heavier on the mat. Collarbones widen. Allow the ribs and your pelvis to be nice and heavy. Maybe the hands, the calves, the feet start to sink into your mat just a little, just a couple millimeters more than they were. As we allow your muscles to soften, notice how your breath may have changed. You may feel it naturally is a little easier to allow the lower ribs to expand in that 360-degree breath. Maybe we notice a little bit more relaxation in the pelvic floor and the low back muscles so that they expand with each inhale nice and easy. As your mind wanders, you're going to just gently return your attention back to the breath. It's totally okay that it wanders. The purpose isn't to not let that happen. It's to be aware of where our thoughts and our sensations in our body, where they want to go. Take note and then come back to your breath. And then on your next exhale, we're going to bring a little bit of movement to the toes, the fingers, but keeping that nice softness with the rest of your body. So we're using the bare minimum effort to move those little joints. And turn to your side. And then pause here for just a moment. And then when you're ready, come on back up to sit. We're going to finish by waking back up, reaching to the sky. Inhale. Exhale, we can bring your hands back to prayer. Close your eyes for just a moment, giving yourself a bit of gratitude for having some time on the mat for yourself today and for all the movements that you were able to do. Namaste. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed that class and hope to see you another time soon. Thanks.